Hey everybody, we're glad you're here today and joining us for one of our mini messages as we're looking at one of my favorite books of the Bible, the book of Exodus. I love the historical narratives from the Gospels back through into the Old Testament with the books of Samuel, Kings, Chronicles, Esther, Exodus, Genesis. They're some of my favorite parts of Scripture, and me being a history buff, it just kind of fits for me there. So Moses here has seen the people become discouraged. He has gone back to God and said to the people what the Lord had told him. And they reject him. Listen to what it says in verse 9. It says, "So Moses told the people of Israel what the Lord had said, but they refused to listen anymore. They had become too discouraged by the brutality of their slavery." Moses' first attempt had been rejected by Pharaoh. That's when we had the bricks and the straw. You know, they have to collect their own straw for the bricks, which we know that's how the Egyptians made bricks. It, lends even a little more archaeological and historical credence to the story, which I think is a really neat touch. But it says the people refused to listen anymore. They were stuck in their unbelief. They were miserable. So they might have said, "We don't doubt God, but we doubt Moses." But at the end of the day, really, they were doubting both, right? So Israel had for centuries been slaves, and they thought like slaves instead of people of the covenant, right? They were no longer the people of the covenant, the sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? They were now servants, slaves. They had lost that promise of God as something central to their lives. And you can kind of understand why, because of what had happened to them, how that the brutality of the Egyptians had just been poured out on top of them. So it says here that they had become too discouraged. Now, some translations will replace that become discouraged to they had anguish of their spirit, or they anguished in their spirit. Now, I think that is a better translation than just the word discouraged. And I find this sometimes in different, and you can go across all of the modern translations in use from the King James on and find words that you would look at in the Hebrew and say, well, I might have handled that differently. This is one of those for me. Discouraged doesn't kind of get it across. This word in the Hebrew has this idea of pressure that has caused anguish to the point of preventing proper breathing, right? Like, I've been with people that were in the midst of grief so severe it was almost like they couldn't catch their breath. That's the descriptive term that's here for the Israelites. They were at their wits' end. They were broken. They had no trust in anything. And so you see where they're at. And we as Christians can get there too. But let's see how God responds to this tomorrow.